Hey now, Tim K here, coming back with you with my fourth installation, my fourth video. Sweet. Yeah, so had a really fun day. Saturday, uh 9th, 10th, day before Mother's Day. Anyway, went to my local Xenia card show. Met up with my now good buddy Rob from Rob of Cash Cards. Had a really good time walking around the show with him. He helped me find a massive card I wasn't even looking for. Well, not a massive card, just a very cool card that wasn't on my radar. But Rob's got a different eye than I do, and he can find some great stuff. So I'll share that here a little later. Anyway, it's us down in southwestern Ohio. I live in the Dayton area. Rob's down in northern Kentucky. This Xenia show we always talk about. It's just a really fun show, man. Lot of great cards there. For the size of it, shoot, they opened it up to like a third building now. Rob was actually over in the third building, and he gives me a call like, "I found something over here. You need to get over here." And I didn't even know there was a third building, you know. So it's one of those shows that just keeps on growing and expanding. It's out at the what would you call it? It's like the fairgrounds. Yeah, it's a fairground. So it's a massive card show. There's easily 300 tables there. It wasn't packed today like it has been in the past, but them expanding over to this third building, and it's one of those huge open buildings where I don't know. I guess they do FFA cow and pig shows in there or something like that. I don't know, crazy stuff I'm not into, but these are big buildings. So anyway, it's just a really, really good monthly local show that we're blessed to have, I guess. A lot of not your huge vintage dealers that you see at Strong's, but some of them make it down there. If they're in the region and whatnot. It's just a really fun show. It's not overrun with Pokemon. Of course, it's there, but it's not. I hear a lot of guys doing other card show reviews, and it's 80% Pokemon, and there's five vintage tables. I guess again, we're really lucky to what we have in this little Xenia show, and well, it's not little anymore, man. It's pretty big and keeps on growing. So yeah, man. Let me stop muttering on here and let's get to the fun stuff. Let's get to the pickup. So yeah, nothing big here, nothing major. Just let me work with my glare. Still trying to figure this out. I'm a Reds guy. Found this in a dollar box. Cool. Centering isn't the greatest, but it was a pretty sharp card, and I didn't have it in the collection, so that's cool to add this 75 tops Davy Concepcion to my collection. Don't have many of his cards. They're not expensive by any means. I was talking with Rob, just like, you know what, I still need his 71 tops as his rookie year, and that's probably one that I'd like to pick up someday. Maybe in like a 5 or 6 range. 20-30 bucks, probably. Cool. I find beaters of those cars and just like, well, why buy a beater if I'm gonna buy it graded someday? I do like don't mind having doubles. Having a raw copy and then a nicer graded copy. That's kind of some of the in a little of how I collect sometimes. Hey, if you can pick it up for $1 or $2, just put it in your collection. Why not? So that was my first pickup. I forget what building that was in. I was just in some dude's box, talking to him. He was a nice guy. Right around the corner from him, found this little gem. You don't see that every day. That adds to my Pete Rose run. That was definitely one I needed. It's obviously an 86 tops. It was a box bottom, and yeah, just added to my Pete Rose run, man. I'm really close at finishing that. I have just a couple of tiny cards. I know I need the 87 manager's card that's just slipped under the radar for some reason. Anyway, I'll show you the back of that. I don't know. I think it says N on it. Let me look real quick. Actually, yeah. end. So I know a lot of those box bottoms were not numbered. They're actually letters. Got a lot of hockey box bottoms that I love. That it's not a number on there. It's a letter. So that's kind of different. So that was cool to run across. Again, dollar bin, sweet. Check that one off for the Pete Rose run. Did not have that. So this would be my surprise purchase of the day. This is kind of lone wolfed for a while. I went my way, Rob went his way, and he called me like, "Hey, where you at?" I'm like, "Yeah, He's like, "Come over to Building 3. There's something you need to see here." And yeah, I was like, "Cool, I'll be over there in a minute." So I walked over there, and he told me what it was, and I was kind of excited. He's just like, "It's pretty sweet." So without any more suspense, he found me this. Now, that is not the tops. I do have the tops in an SGC6. Good old Rob found me the very elusive O-Pee-Chee version there. Again, this was, I don't want to say it was never on my radar. I just don't actively go looking for this card. And, it's a 1.5, but it looks way better than that to both of our eyes. With the O-Pee-Chee, of course, you're going to have centering issues and stuff like that. And it did get the 1.5 because there's like a surface wrinkle running down the middle of his body, but you really almost have to put a loop on it to see it. We're all like, I'm like, well, why is it a 1.5? We're doing this and that. And, oh, now I finally see it. So yeah, just a really cool card, to add to my Johnny Bench collection. I do have that run, but it's just like, okay, now this kind of, gets me wondering or guessing, okay, do I start to put together the O-Pee-Chee run? I got one of the big ones, and those backs are just so cool, the O-Pee-Chees are always brighter, let's say more vibrant on back. And I didn't know this about this set. It's got the a lot of my O-Pee-Chee hockey cards will have the O-Pee-Chee logo in there. So it's just really cool to add to my Johnny Bench case. My wall hanger, just to put that O-Pee-Chee right next to his Topps card that I absolutely love. So good looking out, Rob. He was joking. He's like, "You're lucky I already have that card because that would have gone straight into my collection." Or he was even talking about like, I'm just buying it to have a double. Like you just don't see the O-Pee-Chee 69s too often, at least in our neck of the woods. Even though we are kind of close to Canada, O-Pee-Chee's always been an oddity. So that was massive. And oh yeah, sorry. Got a pretty good deal on that. We were talking about values and comps and stuff like that. And with it being in a 1.5, there's not many sales of them out there. It was a brand new grade. Well, I don't know, the 9-digit 1.4. So shoot, it's been graded probably in the past, 6 months to a year or whatever. So yeah, the pop count was super low on it. I think when I pulled it up at the show, it was like 7. So not a whole lot to comp on it. The dude wanted $100. I kind of shot it out there, poo-pooing it. Well, I don't know. I didn't get into big on this is the comp, this is the value. 100 was pretty fair. I chopped him down to 90. We all like to do that. That's part of the game, the art of the trade. I knew he wasn't going to do it at 80. When I offered him 80, I was just like, he's going to do 90. So that all worked out. Fair deal's a fair deal. We were both happy. We all like to say that how that goes. So later on in that same building, found a really good vintage dealer that's normally not there. I'll put his card up. His name was, I think it was Tony. Yeah, of Monster Cards. I remember running into Tony at Strongsville. I've seen him the past couple years. Really nice guy. He's from Illinois. I had forgotten that, and I was like, man, he drove all the way down here. He's like, yeah, I hear this Strongsville show's pretty strong. Pretty fire vintage show, which it is. So shoot, me and Rob spent a lot of time over there at Tony's table, and Forget what, Rob picked up a couple cards from him, and I found something, card that has always been on my want list. There's the 58 Tops Slugger Supreme. Big Clue, my guy, and hey, there's bonus. There's an all-time great Ted Williams on there. So yeah, I'd been looking for this card for a while. Not a while, just didn't find the right version. Would have preferred it graded, but hey, this was a really nice raw example. Show you the back there. Yeah, just a cool card. Again, I don't have many Williams cards. I'm not really considering this a Williams card. I'm considering this part of my Big Clue run, which I'm getting very close to completing that. And not complete, just as Red stuff. I'm a Reds guy. I'm a Reds fan, so I don't need his Pittsburgh stuff. Or I believe he played for towards the end of the career, maybe a year or two with the White Sox. Someday might get those, but I'm interested in his Reds cards right now. So I was, pretty much done for the day. And oh yeah, let me go back. I went into this show with no expectations whatsoever. Honestly, I thought I was going to maybe spend $20, buy a box of junk wax, just keep me occupied, have some fun. You know how that is. You just never know what you're going to run into. And fortunately, I had a pretty good chunk of change left over from Strongsville somehow. So, I've got my wallet with my 20s in it, and then I got what I called my folding money wallet with the hundreds in it. And yeah, I really, if I would have spent, $20, cool, some nice pickups. So here's what really kind of not a surprise, but again, you run across it, it's in front of you. Here's the opportunity. So I am a set collector. Whoever says set collecting is dying, well, I still collect sets, man. I love them, especially when they're in my the stuff I used to rip as a kid. Those I really love. And those junk wax boxes for 84, 85, 86, 87 dollars, they're not as cheap as they used to be. And for some reason, I loved Donruss cards back in the day. To me, they were a premium card. You couldn't get them at the grocery store. The ice cream man wasn't selling them. Yeah, Tops, they were everywhere. But the Donruss and Fleer 84 through 87, I will always love. And I really think there used to be a premium on those cards. It's all changed. I still think they're cooler. I am a Tops guy, but just, again, the 84 through 87 Donruss, I love those. So, anyway, this was a total impulse buy, talking about the market when you're at the candy lane and let's see what you can buy. I wasn't walking out, wasn't quite done, but, I hadn't done all the laps of all the three buildings. Well, I ran into this guy at the back of the room, the third room. His name's Dave, and really cool guy. He's a local guy. His daughter was there at the table with him. I've done some deals with him before in the past. We've actually made some trades and stuff. And he's a set guy. He builds sets and, or he finds sets out there in the wild and puts them out on his table. Again, set collecting to me isn't done. I'm still into it. I think, anyone over 40, we remember collating sets and stuff like that. Well, this is the 84 Donruss set. And why I felt I had to get this one is that it is still the bricked up set. Unopened, let's call it old new stock, okay? So I do have a hand collated 84 set, Donruss set that I put together back in the day. And I've been adding on to it over the years. I kind of did the same with this that I did with my 76 football set and what I do with a lot of my sets. For some reason, I like having the raw card. And I've found getting a graded card, on eBay or out there in the wild is cheaper than sending the card from the set. And, I've been buying 9s of 84 Donruss the Hall of Famers, the rookie cards. Other than a couple cards, obviously the Mattingly, uh, the Strawberry, I've been buying them religiously for the past 3 to 4 years in PS9s for $15 to $20, and that's shipped. So it's kind of like a no-brainer to me. Well, why do you want two of the cards? Well, I like the raw card, and I like having a very nice graded example of it. And I used to be stuck on the set registry thing for a minute, and I'm over that. I've grown out of that, but I just I love complete sets and having a graded, 8 or 9 from that era of cards that I absolutely loved it as a kid. It tickles me pink. It's just that's what I do. Call me stupid. That's how I collect. We all collect differently. So the cool thing is on this, I got a really good deal on it. eBay, I have it on my eBay save search, even though I have a hand collated set that I put together myself. These sets are going for the bricked unopened sets are going for about $400. That's before shipping and tax. Well, to ship a set, it's $15 easily. And then you pay tax on $400. You're looking at over $450. Well, Dave gave me a screaming deal. Normally, I don't like talking prices, but this was a good one. I got the set for $300 just because have a good relationship with him. And then as I'm walking out, I'm like, okay, I'm done. I was coming in here maybe gonna spend $20-$40, get a box of junk wax, get my fix and get in and get out. Well, we all know sometimes that doesn't happen when you run across really cool stuff. So I'm walking out and I'm thinking about this guy that I've done some trades with on Facebook. He's been over to the house a couple times, good guy, and I forgot his name. And lo and behold, boom, there he is set up at the table. See a guy with a bunch of junk wax, and I was like, hey, that's that Todd dude. So anyway, Todd's bought some sets off of me that I've hand collated and passed on from, or I just like building sets. So I talked to Todd and I'm just like, hey man, I'm gonna have a '84 Donruss set hand collated available if you're interested. He's like, absolutely. How much you need for it? $150. Deal. So boom, this 300 for the factory set, with the box, in the bricks. I just chopped that down to $150 because I sold my hand collated set to him. Now, deal isn't done. I told him, we got some more stuff, and I wanted him to look at some of the graded stuff that I'm about to list on the market. So it's kind of funny how that works, man. I was just thinking, I bet I can, this Todd guy that I've dealt with before might be interested in this set. And I'm not kidding. I walked down one row, I was leaving, and this guy's got a bunch of junk wax. I looked up, and it's this Todd guy, and I was like, hey, man, you interested in this set? And sure enough, he was. So anyway, it was a great show. I spent way more than I was wanting to. You just never know. Again, it wasn't bonus money, but it was, hobby money, just left over from my hobby budget, everything that I sold to get my war chest up for Strongsville. So, yeah, it's just keeping that hobby money rotating and flowing around. And just had a really great show. Towards the end, met up with Rob again, and he's just so great and just gracious. Me being new at YouTube, he took a ton of time with me. Like, hey, man, we just talked about, I had some editing questions for him. I'd really like to get an intro. My goal is before my 10th episode to have a nice, cool intro for anyone that cares to watch me. And, just for me, it's improving my show, I guess. And, it was just awesome. He took tons of time talking with me and just hanging out, shooting the shit about cards and YouTube stuff, and maybe some future collaborations we might do together. So it's just really cool when you have someone that's fairly local into the same stuff, that's been there and done that, been through it, the growing pains and this and that on new channels. And obviously Rob's great at all the editing and just how he clips his videos. So I was really able to pick his brain a lot on that, and just trying to maybe someday, if I ever figure it out. And I will. I'll put some effort into it to, get all that stuff going. Just to try and make my videos a little classier for you, San Diego. Um, but yeah, Ron Burgundy's a classic guy. So yeah. Anyway, now I'm starting to ramble on, so I better let you go. So again, just great day, great Saturday at a local card show. Had a blast. Again, thank you, Rob, so much for just being a good friend, man. And all right, we will see you all down the road. Take care. Peace.